Hi.
I mean, my favorite part of this is the fact that we're not even in the same location, but
Yeah,
we are.
but we are. Magic. Character time. Character time. I have hydration.
Creedy Chameleon is currently raising funds for the Trevor Project, but is also making sure that we don't die out here because of dehydration.
I probably shouldn't chat as RPGClinic.
Hey, Bataloos. I also see that we have Zesty's here, although Zesty will probably have to leave soon. Gabriel's here. We've got, we've got Aragorn because of course, and Weirdness. Twitter suspended your account?
Yeah, I saw a tweet about that. It's probably because you went from like rarely tweeting to suddenly tweeting a lot about a specific topic, but that's like pretty trash.
Hey, Roger. There
Hello.
you go. You get to be here.
Always here, especially when I'm not.
That's my secret. I'm always here. We have totally ripped off. Well, not ripped off. It's not like he owned it, but Pugajutsu pointed us towards a different way for us to provide captions for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that now if you click down.
There should be a little CC square.
Yeah, there's a little CC down there if you want to throw that up there. All the rage and all the sci-fi and occasionally memes.
Seems legit.
But yeah, so this is a way if you would like to put us on closed captions, we are right there. And I'm gonna test this out because I haven't tested this yet. My name is John. Hey, it works.
It did it right. Yay.
I mean, it's not perfect, but it certainly is better than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's embedded into the stream itself. So if you are also watching on mobile, you may have to go into your accessibility options as part of your phone's OS to make it show up on Twitch. So we'll see. But at least now you will not necessarily have to have an extension, so you won't need to be watching on a personal computer in order for it to work, which I think is pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of sweet, we've got a game to plan.
We do.
We've already done this before with Scott.
Yeah, so why bother? He's perfect. Bye.
Yeah.
Good night, folks.
Yeah, that's what we're going for here. This is the second one of our character creation sessions that we're going to have here on Clinic Hours. And I am very thankful that I get to have Zen Robo. Kate is here, and we are going to be creating her Dragon-Blooded character attending the House of Bells in ExalTwitch Academy, which is the new name for our upcoming season, which is starting January 3rd, 2021.
Welcome, Gabriel.
Don't stop there. Well, we're not stopping there. We've got one more of these after this. Because we do have 3 characters in the game. Please, some of the House of Bel has a room of clappers. I mean, maybe. There we go, Crosshair. Just in time to say third on third. Glad to see that. Our announcement still hasn't gone live on
the Discord?
There, it just did. Literally as I was saying it.
Rude. There we go.
Just did. Oh, well. I'll have to have a word with that bot at some point, but clearly the bot only checks every once in a while, so there's only so much that we can do. No matter what, though, we're going to have some good time here, and we will be posting this later on to our YouTube channel, so people will be able to catch up on that. We're a little late in posting Scott's, but it will get up there. But if you're here with us live, then you get to be here with us completely. Abbreviates to ETA. ETA to fun. So we're gonna get this kicked off, I guess. The first thing that I'm going to make sure that everybody is aware of while we're here and figuring things out is that we are creating a Dragon-Blooded character in the world of Exalted. Exalted is a storyteller system-esque game that was originally published by White Wolf. It is now being developed by Onyx Path under license by White Wolf, and so therefore it is a game that has similarities in its system to the World of Darkness, but they're not quite the same thing. And we are specifically playing Dragon-Blooded characters thanks to the source book, What Fire Has Wrought. In order to create these characters, we need 4 kilograms worth of books.
So much book.
There we
I was
go.
wondering where they were.
Yeah, 4 kilograms
there.
worth of books. Do
Hey,
you want them?
EX2. I can just use broken rules, right?
I mean, you have EX2. You may even have the original Exalted, although I may have not kept that. But do you want these books? Would you rather have them on
No, it's okay. I've got the PDFs.
All right.
We have the technology. Ooh, I even have my iPad, but I think it needs a charge.
The Lunar book is available, but we are not playing Lunars in this particular season. What we are planning on doing is when Exalted Essence becomes available, we are going to then, in the same setting as ExalTwitch Academy, we'll move on to ExalTwitch Essence, at which point the players will be able to play whatever splat they may so desire out of all the splats that are available, because that game is specifically built to make it a bit easier to handle parties of multiple different splats.
Yeah.
Hey, pun expected. It's been a little bit. It's good to see you. There was a bit of a World of Darkness wonk back in the day, but Miss Exalted pretty much entirely. I mean, I hear you, but it's good to see people. Let's bring up Kate's character sheet. Now, Kate may have already done a lot of work on her character before coming to me, but I am going to be creating the character live using Lotcasting Atemi on stream. I had a question that was asked. Where did this question come from?
It was a whisper to RPG-Clinic, but
which I can't see.
Yeah.
because things are weird. Right now, Gabriel, RPG-Clinic is what deserves the subs. I will say, as much as I like my own channel, my channel doesn't stream as often as this one does, so you'll get more bang for your buck if you're subscribed here. You're my whole world, bro. But at any rate, Kate may have already created her character, but we will be creating it alongside. I am totally fine with players coming to me having done zero preparation, but generally I prefer when they have an idea of what they want to do, and if they're familiar with the system at all, that they have filled things out already, or at least partially.
Yeah, I'll be back. Just need to...
Whoop. And that is an attempt to make sure that we can sort of streamline this process. What Kate has already determined, we're going to go over. I might have some suggestions. We may make some changes, and we're not focused on completing the character sheet here, just making sure that we have enough of a character that we feel comfortable moving in to session 0, which will be next month. Ooh, squished. Squished emotes. So, here we go. The first thing that I'm going to ask you when we're creating this character is, do you want to go over mechanics first? Do you want to go over your character concept first? How do you prefer to build your character up?
I have a bit of a concept, and...
All right, so if you had to describe your character in a couple of sentences, what would you do? Not a visual description. We're going for character description.
So I've taken a few notes on that front. So I've got stable, not stubborn. As sort of a clarification to myself. And though physically imposing, once you get to know them, it's clear that they're a teddy bear whose mind is always caught up in fantastical stories.
So, sorry, though physically imposing.
Once you get to know them, it's clear they're a teddy bear whose mind is always caught up in fantastical stories. Another sort of inspiration / starting point for this character was the idea of the student who's in on like a football scholarship, but in this case it's a very different world. There's not such a thing for the Dragon-Blooded schools, but it's still that sort of core of someone who is there, maybe not because they're super academic, but in this case, they still actually are really interested in novels and stories.
You can be interested in novels and stories and still be on a football scholarship.
Yeah, it's just the trope, right? The theoretically, oh, they don't know anything. They're bad at school. They're only there because they can play the sports. But, it's been so long. I haven't watched the films, and it's been ages since I read the books. I don't think they're quite as peculiar as Luna tends to be.
Thanks, Gabriel. That's appreciated. Thank you for the sub. Do I even have the alerts? The alerts are not where they need to be. There we go. So something else that I'm gonna point out is that you have referred to your character currently using they pronouns. Is that?
I haven't decided. I'll probably end up playing a female character, but at the moment I'll probably bounce around during character creation right now, so I'd rather try to tend towards they to start so that we don't get, people sort of picturing one thing and ending up with another. I'll start
all good.
in the middle.
So let's hold on to that for now, and of course you can just figure out your character's pronouns later on.
Yep.
But for now, they them is a great way to sort of imply that the pronoun, that the gender is not yet selected. So that sounds good to me. Obviously, of course, I am a cishet dude. So if what I say does not make sense, feel free to call me the fuck out. I'm also going to remind everybody that we have certain rules for our character creation here that are not standard from what Fire has wrought. You start with Essence 1. No bonus specialties or merits from your background. You only get 10 dots of merits. You get 10 charms and 5 excellencies as opposed to 15 and 5. And you have only 15 bonus points to spend. Create a Chameleon, that is one of the things that I adore about you.
Yep.
So you still get to create quite a powerful character, but you are creating a character who is relatively new at this whole being exalted thing compared to a character who has been exalted for some time. After all, you are still in school. Although you are in school closer to the end of your studies than the beginning. So you talking about a character, you mentioned physically imposing, but a teddy bear whose mind is caught up in fantastical stories. So are we looking at a character who would you say is kind of like a physical primary, or is that just what everybody notices about them?
I'd say physical primary. I'm probably going to put my my big stack of attributes into strength, dex, stamina.
Okay. And you still have this sort of, when you say that a teddy bear, I assume that you mean that this is somebody who's still somewhat personable. So are you thinking mental or social for your secondary or?
Probably social. Yeah. Okay.
Because it's still totally possible by spending bonus points that you can bring all of your attributes up. So that's a thing. Hey, Kung Fu Fenris. I'm reminded a bit of Brienne of Tarth.
Yeah, there's a little bit of Brienne of Tarth. There's a little bit of and her name has left my brain. The Mandalorian. Her.
Cara Dune.
Cara Dune. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess the next question that I have to ask you is, do you have an aspect picked out already?
Yes, I am pretty sure I'm gonna go with Earth Aspect. Unicarano, thank you. That's the name I was trying to remember.
So in Earth Aspect, let's just divert over here for a second, just so that people can know what that means, being an Earth Aspect for us here.
A wild Aragorn emerges just in time.
Is this what you predicted, Aragorn?
Yep.
I mean, so Earth is the foundation of creation, the mighty pillar that upholds all things. Earth is unassailable, enduring both physical force and the taint of chaos. Its stability keeps the balance of the world, from the mountains that have weathered centuries unchanged to the purity of cold iron. When storms fade, rivers dry up, fires burn out, and forests die, only the unforgiving earth remains. So those who are Earth aspects tend to be, although this is of course not something that is required of you, they tend to be, they get stoic calm. They are stable, like you mentioned before, stable and not stubborn. You're halfway to your donation for the Trevor Project. That's fantastic.
That's super awesome.
Yeah. And so that's pretty cool. I'll point out that Earth Aspect anima let you be resilient against attacks, you persist through ailment or injury, and you channel seismic force through your anima flux. So that's pretty cool. You get to look forward to some of that from you. Have you picked your favorite abilities?
So my aspect abilities are awareness, craft, integrity, resistance, and war.
That's correct. So you can choose now 5 additional abilities that will become your favorite abilities that essentially act kind of like your aspect abilities. I would strongly recommend that at least one of these be a combat ability. But let's hear what you have to say.
So what I had flagged was athletics, brawl, dodge, lore, and melee. Lore because of the reading. Okay. And the other ones being rounding out a lot of the physical, because my character was mostly she was big and strong. See, I'm flip flopping between pronouns here.
That's fine. Maybe it's a way for you to discover.
Yep. And so was very early on, like even pre-exaltation age, was put like, okay, you're going to be like the fighting type. So they have a long history of such training.
Okay. I've noticed that you've taken 2 different combat abilities. You've taken both brawl and melee. Is there a specific reason behind that?
Because my intention is I'm a student, and so I don't, at this time, I'm thinking that I'm not going to have like 3 or 4 dots in anything per se. I'd rather be sort of jack of all trades, master of none. And then through this last year or 2 or whatever phase of school we have left, is when I really start focusing in.
Okay. We're going to see how that changes things when you approach charms. The idea of being a jack of all trades does put you at a disadvantage. The idea that you have a wide skill set can be quite useful, but it also means that you'll have fewer spotlight moments for yourself. Yeah. So why don't we continue going through this, and we'll see whether that's something that you want to maintain, because that's okay if you want to be a character like that, as long as you understand what that means.
Yeah, so, and I figure I can also use my bonus points to possibly hone in a bit further on one thing rather than another. Like, right. I know that Scott's character is very melee focused, so I probably won't put all my dots into melee, sort of thing.
Makes sense. Yeah. And we can, and remember though that you can put, in this initial sort of distribution of dots, you can assign up to 3 dots without it even being a favored ability. So if you were thinking, I'm only ever going to put 2 in melee and that's it, you might not want that to be one of your favorite abilities, because favorite abilities also get discounts for things like charms. So why don't we go through? We'll see. because favorite abilities should be ones that you plan on focusing on after character creation as well as during character creation. So let's move on to your attributes. So you said that
I
you were
just don't know what else I'd make special or favored, rather.
We'll
right
figure
it out.
We'll figure it out. And remember, we don't have to figure everything out today. So let's have a look at your attributes. So you have physical, social, and mental. And you said that your primary was going to be physical?
Physical, yeah.
Okay. So if you're looking at physical to be your primary, then what you need to do is you need to assign, you already have 1 dot in everything. You need to assign 8 dots in your physical, and then 6 dots in if your secondary was social. And then 4 dots in your mental. And you are totally allowed to take way up to 5, and you're allowed to take 1s.
I'm thinking more strength and stamina than dexterity.
Okay.
So 8 would be, so that's on top of the 1. I get 1 in everything.
You get 1
for
free, and then you are filling in an extra. Like, imagine if you had the character sheets with the dots in front of you, you get to fill in 8
kind of wish
dots.
I did.
Do you want me to print one up for you? Just right
that's
here?
Fine. I know. I'll probably be making changes before I get ready to print. So 3, 6, 7, 8. So 4 strength, 4 stamina, 3 dex.
There we go. Sorry, just some confusion there with my clicking. So 434, which is the correct number to assign right now. Remember that you can still spend bonus points later.
Yeah.
For your socials, you have 6 to assign. Now you have charisma, manipulation, and appearance.
Not very manipulative, so I'm gonna give that a 2.
Okay.
3 in charisma and 4 in appearance, because my character is fit AF.
So we're basically playing a bunch of hot characters, is what I'm hearing. Scott's also got a high appearance, if I remember correctly. So that's fine. That works. And then for your mentals, what are you looking at? So Roger, 434 is Exalted get 8 dots to assign, unlike in the normal World of Darkness where you would get 7. So it is the correct number.
Yeah.
And remember that you start with 1 and then you add on to that.
Talking about Scott character. They're both hot. Oh shit. Mental, I think I do, because 2 is like average, right? It's not.
Yes, 2 is human average.
Yeah. So 2, 2, 3. Wits being the 3.
Okay.
For now.
So with that queued in, this is going to be the first thing that I'm going to bring up. Let me just get this ready here. Oops. Okay, sorry. I do not need work contacting me right now. Thank you very much. That's that isn't something that I need to deal with. So if we look at Scott's character right now, because I know that one of the things that some players find important is that they have a distinct difference or change from others. So Scott's character is a social primary, physical secondary, and mental third, like you are. His mentals are exactly the same as yours. Perception 2, intelligence 2, wits 3. But otherwise, there's differences because he's swapped physicals and socials. So right now, I don't see any major issue with that. How do you feel?
Yeah, and I might throw a bonus point into perception or intelligence.
Sure.
When we get to it.
All right. So it looks right now to me like you, if I had to describe your character based on the numbers that you've given me, you're a character who is very clearly, you are a physical specimen. You are not only strong and tough, You're also quick. Dexterity 3 is nothing to shake a stick at. That's excellent. And if we also look at your socials, you are, first of all, your appearance 4 means that not only are you statuesque, as Weirdness put it, but it also means that you look the look as well. But appearance isn't just your physical appearance. It's also things like how you bear yourself, the fashion that you choose, and the way that you come across when somebody first talks with you. For instance, if you have a voice that people find really grating, that could be a knock on your appearance.
Yeah.
Because after a while, the quality of your voice matters a bit less, and what you say matters a bit more. But when people first sort of get that instinct or a reaction to you, appearance is what matters. So when you say jump, even if somebody hasn't heard of you before, they're more likely to say how high. You're also quite charismatic, and you know how to tell a lie. You might not be the best at it, but it's not like you're hopeless. In terms of your guile is not 1, right? You're not already sitting rock bottom at the lowest, and you're screwed in that way. And you are you're a decent student, and you've got some quick wit about you. Sound like your character so far? Great. So Roger, Scott's playing a social primary character. He actually did play a social primary character, I believe, with the original ExalTwitch. Jorik was a social character first and foremost, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
We can actually find that out by going to the wiki, which you have been so diligently working at.
Fandom.com.
But if I look at Jorik's character sheet, indeed it was, well, by the end of the campaign, he had maxed out a lot of things, but his social, he had charisma 4, manipulation 5, and appearance 3. Requiem says, also to throw it out there as an idea, when running a game, I often ask my players to define their appearance beyond just attractiveness, since attractiveness is subjective in many cases. So perhaps appearance 4 for your character might represent just being physically imposing as opposed to drop dead gorgeous. This is going to be up to you. No matter what, though, an appearance of 4 implies that you have a striking appearance that you can use to your advantage, compared to an appearance of, say, 1, in which case your appearance is to your disadvantage. It may still be striking, but it will not help you. You can be fantastically ugly and still have an appearance of 4 if you can work it properly.
Work.
All right. So next up on our character creation journey, we're going to have a look at your abilities. So you've already selected up here your favorite abilities of athletics, brawl, dodge, lore, and melee. And remember that at any time we can change anything on your sheet. But now it's time to assign some dots. So you have 28 dots to assign on your abilities, and every ability starts with 0. You can't go above 3 currently. You can only go above 3 by spending bonus points at this time. And every one of your favorite abilities must have at least 1 dot assigned to it, but not your aspect abilities. Those you can keep at 0 if you need to.
Athletics, brawl, dodge, lore, melee. Athletics, brawl, dodge, lore, melee. See, I was thinking 2 in each of my favored, which is my first 10 of 28.
Yep. And then for the rest of it, just assign as you choose. You've currently assigned 10 out of your 28.
Yeah. So for martial arts, I'd like to take martial arts, which I know is technically a merit, but does that also take skill points or ability points?
Okay, so let's get into martial arts, because that's a little bit more of a complicated case, but it is a cool case. So let's look at it here. The martial arts merit is actually defined in the Exalted Core. It is... So you have to have, as a prerequisite to take martial artist, you have to have Brawl 1. So you have it. Y'all good. The character has undergone systematic training in at least one formal combat art. Perhaps she was raised as an immaculate monk or studied in a dojo during her journeys. This merit allows the character to purchase the martial arts ability. So you can't actually purchase this until you have bought the merit. But the thing is, you can buy the merit and then go back to your abilities. It doesn't have to be in that order.
Because character creation is all at once sort of thing.
Essentially,
right?
yes. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go right to your merits. We have to...
It's on 163, 164 of the core book.
That's right. I mean,
Ooh,
I'm not going to fill in all the
points.
information right here.
That was 4. Yep.
Because obviously I'm not working on your permanent sheet.
No.
But I am going to put martial artist.
From PDF is that I can copy paste.
Exactly. So that's 4 of your merit dots right off the bat.
4 of 6. That's okay.
And remember that you can, at any point, decide, and go back to it. Yeah. So this is interesting because we don't have... Scott is not a martial artist. He's specifically using melee as his primary combat. So then the question is, you have then abilities, and the abilities that you're looking at are martial arts. So, whoops, that's attributes. So if I go in here and I go to martial arts as an ability. So this ability is important in combat.
Really?
Martial arts covers formal study of martial systems, such as the styles detailed in Chapter 7 of the core. There are additional ones in What Fire Has Wrought.
Yeah, those are the ones that I was looking at.
Yep. In addition to providing mastery of unarmed techniques, martial arts also facilitates the use of certain exotic weapons, such as the staff, the rope dart, sais, and hook swords. Like Brawl, it can be used to calculate a character's parry defense. So it's a special ability. You must possess the martial artist merit to purchase it. Martial arts cannot be taken as a cast or favorite ability by itself, but if Brawl is, then so is martial arts.
Ooh.
So martial arts will be considered a favorite ability for you.
Very cool.
If Brawl is a cast ability, the martial arts can be taken as a character's supernal. You don't have a supernal ability. You're not solar, so you don't have to worry about that. Like Craft, when a character first buys this ability, she must declare a martial arts style, which her martial arts dots represent mastery of. So it's not like you take martial arts 4 and then you have 4 in every martial art.
Yeah.
You have to pick the martial art that you want to focus on. I will point out, and this is important to note, if you have selected a martial art that uses a weapon as one of its that uses like a melee weapon as one of its chosen weapons, you do not need melee in order to be able to wield it using your martial art. So this might be something to say you may want to consider knocking melee off depending on the martial art that you've chosen, because you will be able to wield those weapons using your martial art. Do you have an idea of the martial art that you're interested in?
Yeah, I'm going with the aspects. I'm going with Earth Dragon style.
Oh!
Earth Dragon style.
Oh!
What?
Oh, I don't know why, but when somebody picks a martial arts style, I'm always just like, ooh, because it's interesting to me. And I've never actually played with an earth aspect before, so I'm super into this. I gotta say.
So just for what it's worth, if you type in Earth Dragon style into the style, it'll type it as Earth Dragon style, because it fills in style for you.
All right. Well, that's important to know.
Yeah.
So you are taking Earth Dragon style. This is one of your favored now because of that. So now you've chosen 11 of your dots. I may encourage you that if we take a look at the martial arts that you've chosen, Earth Dragon style.
It's kind of resistance based, so I don't know whether that got answered, but resistance is your ability to undergo attack.
Yeah, toughly take
and
it.
to endure. Yeah.
So Earth Dragon style tempers overwhelming force with meticulous deliberation, moving slowly and surely with every technique. Students undergo training regimens that strengthen the body, hardening fists through hours spent striking barrels of gravel, and learning to ignore their pain by sleeping on beds of nails. So very Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Right. This training tempers them into nigh invincible warriors who can stand toe-to-toe with unruly gods and anathema, withstanding deadly blows and answering in kind with their mighty tetsubos. Do you know what a tetsubo is?
No, that's Tonfa. Tetsubo.
So a
Is that
tetsubo...
it's like a spiked bat, effectively.
It is a massive spiked bat. They're huge.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I mean, we are at Dragon-Blooded school, but I feel like that is exactly the kind of weapon that would be illegal to bring to school.
it is not. You would totally be allowed to bring one.
Yeah.
It is an iron rod, much like a mace, but it takes 2 hands to wield.
Yeah.
So it's a big one.
Intense.
So Earth Dragon unarmed attacks are solid, powerful strikes delivered with the elbows, knees, and 2-handed hammer blows. So like the old Star Trek. This style also used tetsubos. Unarmed attacks enhanced by Earth Dragon charms can be stunted to deal lethal damage. Cool. And it's compatible with all armor, which is rare for a martial art. Complementary abilities. Occult is used to battle spirits, and athletics is employed in feats of strength.
Okay, so I've got my athletics as a favored, so that's complementary. I don't think I don't know about battling spirits.
So that's fine. Remember that also you're still in school, and if you find that you need to, you can start buying shit up.
If the school becomes haunted, I'll buy some dots on occult. I'll go to the library and read.
So the way that this is going to work out for your melee, by the way, is if you take melee, you can wield any other melee weapon, but you can't use it with Earth Dragon style. Yeah. If you wield a tetsubo, you would not use your melee. You would use your martial arts ability instead. Yeah.
But I still think I want to have a few dots in melee.
Totally cool.
At least to reflect, all the training
and
stuff. Yeah.
So, you have 11 out of your 28 assigned.
I'd like to have 2 dots into my martial arts, if that's okay.
So 2 in Earth Dragon?
Yeah, 2 in Earth Dragon style.
Okay. So I'm going to point out that if you take just 2 points in martial arts, you only can buy Stone Dragon's skin. All the other Earth Dragon style charms require at least your martial arts to be 3. Okay. Now, then again, the only one that requires more than Essence 1 is Force of the Mountain. So it's not actually that big a deal.
Okay, but maybe I can still, again, with my bonus points, it's basically I can use a bonus point to qualify for that or whatever, right?
Right. But while we're filling in the abilities, just know that you can buy it up to 3 without issue.
Right, without having to spend extra. Okay. Because here's what I was thinking for my other stuff.
Fire away.
Okay, so I know I'm probably going to be doubling up some of the things I've already mentioned. 1 in archery, so that I'm not going to be completely useless with a bow, but it's definitely not a specialization. Okay. 2 athletics, 2 awareness, 2 brawl, which I think I've already done. 2 dodge, which I've already done.
Yeah.
1 integrity.
Okay.
2 lore I've already done. 1 medicine. 2 melee. 1 occult. That's interesting. I don't know what I was thinking when I did that. I guess maybe because of reading the Earth Dragon style. 1 presence. 2 resistance. 1 ride. 1 sail. 1 socialize. 1 stealth. 1 survival. 1 throne. 1 war.
So you have really spread yourself out.
Yeah.
Okay. This is going to very strongly limit the charms that you can buy right now. This is not me saying you are in trouble. This is just me saying you are without a 3 in any of your abilities right now. The most that you'll be able to buy are like excellencies and maybe 1 more.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gilligood points out something that you need at least linguistics 1 in order to be able to read your stories.
Okay. But linguistics 1.
Now, in terms of linguistics, it's important in social influence, and you must have at least 1 dot of linguistics to be able to read. I will insist you take at least 1 dot of linguistics. Cool. You're at a school where it would be required.
Yeah. Great.
So do you wish to take something away from one of your abilities, or do you want to spend one of your bonus points here?
I don't want bureaucracy or investigation or larceny or performance, so I'm fine with my zeros, other than linguistics, now that you mention it. I totally forgot. It was 28, I believe.
Yes,
but
you are
I've got
at 28
2 points
exactly.
with martial arts.
Yes.
So for now, let's increase and assume they're going to come out of my bonus points.
Okay. I'm taking a note of the bonus points that you've spent right now. You have spent 5 currently.
5?
Martial artist 4.
That's a merit.
Oh, sorry, your merits. Of course, you don't have to. Yeah. You can just spend your merit points on that. So bonus points. You spent 1 in an ability.
1 for linguistics, and then maybe another 1 to up Earth Dragon style to 3.
Okay. Okay, so you spent 2 of your bonus points so far.
Is there anything that stands out?
Well, right now, nothing stands out. You've got a wide range of shit.
Yeah.
So
is there anything that I shouldn't put points in, or that I should have more points in?
No, not necessarily. You might have difficulty registering for your classes because you don't have bureaucracy 1, but that's totally fine.
My mom's gonna do that for me. Jeez, what do you think I am, some plebe?
Technically, it wouldn't even be your mom. It would be somebody who works for your mom.
Someone who works for my mom. Yeah.
Right.
Someone in the staff.
So that's fine. I will say that Exalted I am harping on this point a bit. Exalted tend to be known for being exceptional. And right now, you are only exceptional in that you are kind of good at a lot of things. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Crosshair is questioning archery and thrown.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, one of the things that I'm getting... I'm getting the impression from you right now that you are trying to make sure that you're building a character with the dots to reflect that you have been trained in a wide variety of things, and that you're trying also not to min-max your way to glory here.
No dots in anything but these 3 things, and then I have 10 in those. Yeah.
Exalted Essence says ranged combat, please. Yeah, that is true. That once you get into Exalted Essence, there's close combat and ranged combat, and those are your 2 abilities, and that's it.
Look, I've got a dot in Throne. That's more than we had in all of the original ExalTwitch Nexus. And Sail. Ray eventually got Sail.
Yeah. So I'm not questioning anything here other than my warning to you that you may want to find something that you're good at. But because also remember that if you got accepted into the House of Bells, you are a Prince of the Earth, right? Like that is reason enough. But in general, if you get accepted at an academy, they want to know that there is something worthwhile. You mentioned like the football scholar. Right now, you're not winning any scholarships compared to the other students at the school.
Yeah, we'll look at it when it comes time for bonus points.
Sure,
and I might
we got plenty of bonus points
around
to spend, and we don't have to worry about it right now. So, moving on. We have done your abilities. We're going to move on now to your merits.
Okay.
So we're gonna...
So we've got martial arts. Merits, I've got of 10, I've got 4 for martial arts.
Yeah. So you have 6 merits left beyond bonus points to spend.
Yeah. What was I looking at? There was... I mean, let me know if there's some that seem obvious based on what I've said thus far.
Okay. In what fire has wrought, there are only
like 2 or something, right?
There's only 2 merits. There's sobriquet, which I will not let you buy because that implies that you've earned it, and there isn't really anything that you could have earned. And well-bred. So well-bred means that you have an exceptionally refined pedigree and that the blood of the dragons runs very strongly within you and your offspring.
No.
Makes sense.
So then there was...
So then if we go back to Exalted 3rd Edition, the merits that you have... Sorry.
Endurance? I was looking at maybe Boundless Endurance.
Okay, so Boundless Endurance, you qualify for because you have Stamina 3.
Yeah.
Reduces the difficulty of all rolls to resist fatigue or remain awake by 2. So that's something that I'm going to put it in.
Earmark it. Yeah, like maybe I'll end up putting 15 points worth of merits and then ditching them, cutting them down.
Because remember that there are some merits that can only be purchased now at the beginning at character creation. They're called innate. And so we should just make sure that you don't want to keep any of those because otherwise you may be sad. Right. Like asking a
right, so if it says purchased, so there's some that say innate.
Yes, innate can only be purchased now. Story can only be purchased if it's justified by the story to do so. But the thing is, we can say that your backstory is included in that. So you can buy story merits here. There are some that I will, of course, say that you can't buy. For instance, you're not allowed to have cult because it's illegal. Or rather, if you buy cult, you should know that it's illegal and that it will go very ill for you.
No. Val had a cult. I don't need another cult. It's all good.
Val being your previous Exalted character.
Valerian Roots and Cliffs.
So things like direction sense and eidetic memory, those are innate. You can't buy those later. I'm looking at
possibly direction sense.
Okay. So this is being able to navigate towards a fixed known location or retrace your steps.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add it anyway, and we can always take ones away.
Don't want a familiar. I mean, fast reflexes is nice. I have wits 3 or 2. What are my wits?
You have wits of 3.
Okay.
So you could take fast reflexes if you wished.
In for now, which I think probably brings me to my cat.
But I am going to point one thing out in terms of fast reflexes.
Yeah.
This is
just +1.
This is not the most. Well, it's +1. This is not the most cost-efficient way for you to get additional dice to your joint battle rolls.
Yeah.
Buying up your awareness costs 1 bonus point compared to the 3 that this is going to cost you in merits. And also, if you take a specialization in awareness of combat like Scott did, that gives you the exact same benefit.
Gotcha.
So for 3 merit points, this kind of sucks. So I'm going to leave it here in case, because like also if there's literally nothing else for you to buy, go for it.
I've got the 10.
But this may not be your best choice.
She's big, but she's not giant.
Okay. So she's not Brienne of Tarth.
No. This is the trouble because I'm creating like a student. As much as I guess I can have influence within the school, I don't know. Like there are some things that I just don't think. How about languages? Would we typically be trained in a couple of languages if we were at the House of Bells?
Languages would be something that you probably would have learned before you showed up.
Or before then? Okay.
Yeah. So languages are an option. I will say that if we look at Scott's character that he built. So here, let me just call it up again here. If we look at Scott's character and we look at his merits, because this is still open information. I'm not telling you anything that you shouldn't know. He bought influence in his house. He only has 1 dot, but it's enough for him to say that, like, you know, if he needs something from his house, he has enough influence that he might be able to get it. If you don't take any influence in your house, it kind of means that they sort of shipped you off to this school, and otherwise they don't really care about you that much.
I'm kind of okay with that.
Okay, so then that's a good reason not to take it. So language might be an option for you to take. I'm just going to put language without saying which one.
Mighty Thew. Page 164. Can lift and carry incredible weight. When attempting a feat of strength, you add your rating in this merit to the attempts dice pool.
So this is less about specifically just you're strong. Obviously you're strong, but this is your ability to just go even further beyond. Gilligood actually read my mind. I was going to suggest that you may want to consider some artifact armor.
Where is that in the merits? So that would be, or is it not in the merits?
That would be under artifact, which is in merits. But it's at the very, very beginning.
Very beginning? Interesting.
Yeah, it's on page 159, artifact.
Okay.
Hey, Pukajutsu. I see that the Stampede is riding hard today.
Hope y'all had a good time with new Final Fantasy XIV content.
And Pook becoming Pregante because of level 3 subs.
Oh, shite.
Thanks, Blade.
Thank you for the raid.
Pregante. So that is an option for you to take an artifact. I will let you do that because it's something that maybe it was something that was passed down through your family to you.
Okay.
Some of it also kind of depends on your on what sort of backstory you choose and all of that. But so that we know, ponies, we're creating one of our PCs for our upcoming Exalted 3rd Edition campaign, which is happening in next year. Why does artifact armor have you a bit worried, Roger? So I do like the idea. You did mention, I'm just going to go back to what you were before, because again, we're just looking at all the things that you're interested in right now, which is a great way to go.
Just put them on.
Mighty Thew gives me the impression that this is just somebody who can every once in a while just like jack out and like, so is that something that you think you might be interested in?
Possibly.
Okay, well, it's going on the list.
Yeah. Okay, going back down the alphabet since I skipped A because I'm bad at letters. Pain tolerance. That's 4 dots though. And I don't have 4 resistance, do I?
No. You have resistance 2 currently.
But it is purchasable.
Yes. You can buy it later. As a note, strength and athletics go hand in hand. With your current spread, strength 4, athletics 1, in my mind suggests that your character is strong but not trained on how to best use their strength. Look at powerlifters. Being strong helps, but knowing how to lift something can often do more than just strength alone. So very good point, Requiem.
So athletics 4 in something. Taking notes for my bonus points. All of this is much appreciated, folks.
So there's also resources that you may want to consider.
You basically give us all selective conception anyway, so.
Selective conception, I give... Okay, so here's the thing. Selective conception, if you take it as a merit, it means your character is aware. If you don't take it as a merit, then you as a player can choose whether your character is fertile or not. What I will not let you do is choose whether your character becomes pregnant, but you can choose whether your character is possible to become pregnant.
Yeah, exactly.
So you do not need to take this unless your character wants to flex on everyone else, being like, you can totally, get with me and we don't have to risk a pregnancy or not.
Yeah.
But I would say that the supernatural merits are most likely things that you would not have access to. You haven't been exposed to the wild. You don't have wings.
No. Flaws. I don't think I'm gonna... Because the flaws in this are, like, really significant. They aren't, like, in Changeling, where they were actually kind of... You'd often have a bit of both.
Yeah.
These are pretty intense. So I'm gonna be flawless.
So, also, flaws, very specifically, are part of the experience system. They do not help you in character creation.
Okay.
They are very much like if your flaw applies, that can be justification for you to earn. Although they say solar experience in the Exalted Core, you wouldn't earn solar experience. You would earn, I forget if it's called aspect experience or Dragon-Blooded experience.
Yeah.
Hey, baby, want a tier 3? Yes, infertility is a flaw, and it is a pretty major flaw for Dragonbloods. That's absolutely true, because the part of the advantage of being Dragon-Blooded is that you can pass your exaltation onto your children, unlike the other exalts. And it is seen societally as a disadvantage if you do not have children at a certain age. And if you become infertile, it's seen as a harsher thing than for other exalts, although it can be pretty harsh for anybody, depending on what they choose. But just because the player says, I don't want to get pregnant right now, doesn't mean that the character is infertile. It just means that pregnancy is a story point that is taken off the table. Crosshair asks, quick question on character creation of Exalted. Can you save stuff in character creation, like bonus points, etc., for later use for later stuff? No. Bonus points must be spent at character creation. If it is, there are certain versions of character creation where you would gain experience points that you could then spend to show that you are more than a starting character, and those you could kind of keep and then spend later. But we're not doing that. We're in fact creating characters that are less than starting characters. So Dragon XP. Okay, thanks, Skillygood.
But that said, like, my character doesn't have to be locked at the end of the stream. It's quasi-locked for session 0 and fully locked after session 3.
That's
or
right.
4.
So once you start session 4, your character is locked. Everyone's back. So you have taken. You've taken 15 dots of merits, and that's also assuming that you're taking the minimum of some of these merits. So what are you thinking to ditch?
The one that gave me the bonus to join battle. That was kind of a bad one.
Fast reflexes.
Fast reflexes. Goodbye.
Okay, it's gone. You now have 12 dots of merits. This is the equivalent of 2 bonus points.
Yeah. Just going over them again. So direction sense is 1 dot, language 1 dot. Let's say artifact is 1 to 5. Maybe a dot in resource. So what do you have that I'm missing from my sheet here?
From merits? So here's what I've written down for you. Martial arts, which is a 4 dot merit.
Yeah, that's
Boundless endurance, 2.
Yeah.
Direction sense, 1. Language, 1. But language can be bought multiple times.
Yeah.
Artifact, currently I have it at 2, but it can go up depending on what artifact you choose to buy.
Because artifact can be between 1 and 5.
2 and 5.
Oh, I thought it was 1 to 5.
There are no 1 dot artifacts. Those are known as wonders.
Oh yeah, okay, great.
Mighty Thew, 1. But Mighty Thew is also something that you can purchase more. I think I'm
going to ditch Mighty Thew.
Okay. Bloop. Get out. Boop. Resources you currently have at 1.
Okay.
Yeah, weapons and armor are 3 minimum.
We'll get to the artifact and see whether or not I want one.
Okay.
And if I want one, see how many dots worth of artifact that is. And then
I'd recommend a 3 dot. Scott's got a 3 dot, and I think that any more than that, and it would be difficult for somebody to trust you with it. Like a 3 dot artifact is still amazing and is still like something that you could take with you the entire game, and it would just be like excellent. You wouldn't feel like the need to just be like, this 3 dot artifact sucks. We're going with a 4 dot.
Yeah.
That's not really what it's for. but
Okay.
I would recommend a 3 dot. If it's weapons or armor, it will have to be at least 3.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you what 4 times 8 was, but all right.
She's trying to be helpful. Okay, well, we'll look at that, and then we can come back to Marin's once I'm sure which artifact.
Okay. So at the moment, if I look here,
yeah.
Why do you want direction sense?
I don't know. I feel like it's a cool character trait to know where, to have a good sense of direction, be able to know where I'm going and where I came from.
Okay. I mean, hell, all you need to say is, I think it's cool, and that's enough for me. I don't need more than that. Boundless endurance. So this is rolls to resist fatigue or remain awake.
Yeah.
So it's a 2 dot merit. Is that something that you want to spend 2 dots on? Like, as an example, if you chose not to take this, and it is a purchased merit, so you could buy it later.
Yeah.
If you chose not to take this, that would put you with a 3 dot artifact at 10 dots of merits, and you wouldn't even be spending any bonus points on it.
So that was for Boundless Endurance you're talking about?
That's correct.
Let me look at this again.
It's literally, the character reduces the difficulty of all rolls to resist fatigue or remain awake by 2.
Yeah. They're a student. They get sleepy. Screw it. Done. Sold. You've convinced me.
You can
that
always
was really
put
hard.
it back.
You really had to twist my arm.
Yeah, you can always put it back.
Yeah.
So
I can also purchase it, which is a good point as well.
That's correct.
You know, I can do a couple of all-nighters and earn it through making sense. So yeah.
Exactly. And one of the things that we have as an advantage here is that I don't like to encourage my players to strictly min-max, but I do think that the systems are built in such a way that if you buy the things that are important to you at the start, you can then fill in these gaps later on. If you start only filling in gaps, and then at the end, the other 2 PCs are just way more competent than you are because they played the system way better than you did, then that might feel a little weak. So at the moment, the merits that you have, martial artist, direction sense, you have 1 language, we can pick that later.
Yeah.
You have a 3 dot artifact, we can pick that later. And you have 1 dot of resources.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I am from a noble family. I'm just not super wealthy.
I suppose this is as good a time as any to sort of bring up that your character concept involves you having parents who are not exalted.
Yeah, so I haven't gone into that on stream. So part of starting from that core idea of kid who's in college on a sports scholarship was the thought that my parents both came from dragon-blooded parents, so my grandparents are dragon-blooded, but that my parents didn't exalt. They were expected, maybe their siblings have, but they didn't. And that was a point of commiseration between the 2 of them that led to their being able to get along. Their marriage was still probably political and useful for the 2 families. I imagine that my mother was a combatant, just, of course, not as prestigious as one that would have been exalted. So that's sort of the background that I'm thinking of coming from. So it's still, there's still a lot of that bloodline in my character to have made exaltation possible, but the family's resources and focuses was not on me, because there are a lot of other family members that had a much, purer bloodline or whatever, more likelihood to exalt.
So the idea that you have dragon-blooded ancestors, but not necessarily dragon-blooded parents, is still legit. It is still possible in this universe. It is rare, but it is not so rare as to be like completely unbelievable. It's just most people at least have a mother or a father
like a
who are
gene.
Something like that. I mean, genetics isn't something that we're going to get into in
but
creation
that's
here,
kind of how I'm treating it.
Right. So this is fine, but it also makes a lot of sense in terms of some of the things that you've selected. It's not completely a lost egg situation. Exactly.
Yeah,
Aragorn.
I'm not like child of nobody.
You're still
Yeah.
a dynast.
Yeah.
So if we're going with that, then that also explains why you may not have as much access to resources. Because look, you're just not from as cool a family as, like, say, Scott's character.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I don't have the same prestige attached to my name, my family, etc. So yeah, like, I have some resources. I am from a big name family, but I'm not. And I have no
Requiem.
influence.
Heroic mortals are still a thing in 3rd edition. There are character creation things for it, but I'll point out that a heroic mortal is you can't play a heroic mortal alongside other exalted and expect that you can accomplish anything remotely the same.
Oh, no, my mom was a good soldier. She wasn't like a great general. That's just not the position that you can get as a normal ass mortal.
And Osa points out, you don't have influence in the family. You just haven't been around long enough to have influence, right? Like,
they were like, "Oh shit, she exalted. Okay, well, okay, I guess we have to find some resources to move over. Oh well, that one
yeet
didn't
her into the
exalt.
school.
Great. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So
Train her.
makes
her
a
good.
lot of sense.
Yeah.
So all of that is no problem. So then we're going to move on to charms. Now, we're not going to necessarily pick specific charms here, but I am curious to know where you may be looking at putting some charms.
Could I take a 2-minute break?
You can take a 2-minute break. While you're doing that, I will talk with the chat.
Mute
because
myself.
That's what's there for. Did Kate find a house? Still no name, no house yet. We haven't gotten into that. Different people take different approaches to their character creation, and sometimes you start with a sheet and then it all sort of flows in. We do know that she is an earth aspect. That's what we know. And so let me go into my thoughts as I'm looking at this sheet. Kate seems attached to the idea of being a jack of all trades. I think that this is still something that we can do, and I don't want to prevent her from pursuing this particular fantasy. I do, however, thanks Zesty for being there. Chunk beef thighs. God damn. I do point out, though, the jack of all trades tend not to become exceptional characters, and PCs tend to need to be exceptional, especially if you're surrounded by other exceptional PCs. So one of the things that I am going to be doing, while I'm not necessarily going to force anything, is I am leaning on Kate a little bit to make sure that she has at least 1 or 2 areas in which she can excel to a significant degree. Now, we're already there kind of by making her martial arts rating at 3, which already means that she's quite an accomplished martial artist. Folks tend to find their niche. Exactly. But there needs to be a niche. And the fact that she's got a martial art is very good for character definition. So this may be all that we need. But in encouraging her to make sure that she at least ups that to 3, it means that we have the ability then to sort of point out that there are places where she gets to be special. She's hoarding a lot of her bonus points right now, and if she chooses not to spend an excess of them on abilities, then the thing that a jack of all trades actually has the advantage in is that she may spend them on attributes. And being able to spend your bonus points on attributes at the beginning of a game is extremely powerful, because they are the most expensive thing typically to buy up after the fact. So if she doesn't feel the need to be a specialist in one area right now, she can spend her bonus points and attributes so that she has an incredible amount of potential going into the game, and then as she accumulates experience, then she'll be able to reach higher highs. Requiem says,
Whoa.
Jack of all, master of none can be perfectly viable in the right group, and a jack of all trades can be a good start for someone unfamiliar with the plat?
Splat.
With a splat, I think you mean.
I would guess.
Don't know how familiar Kate is with Dragon-Bloods. Fair.
Hi. Sorry for that. Thank you. I heard people asking about family and name and stuff when I was getting up.
Yep. Do you want to get into that now?
Yeah. I haven't fully settled on a first name / given name, whatever you want to call it. At the moment, working name is Oresta. Oresta.
So I'll just point out that Olestra which sounds very similar, is that banned food additive. Well, not banned, but it was a food additive that they put in chips to sort of be like, look, it's fat that you can't digest. And it basically got mocked a whole lot because it made people incontinent.
Okay, I've never heard of that. Yes, see, Kung Fu Fenris knows what I'm implying.
Female version of Orestes.
It's a Greek origin. It has to do with like of the mountain and shit like that, which is how I came across it.
I had a classmate growing up named Orestes.
Yeah. So it's of that, but I'm not going with like Orestina or some horseshit that I found because I'm sorry. Anything Ina or Et is just people taking their son's name and slapping it on their daughter. So.
Are you going to go with Roger Twy's
Rusty?
Name suggestions? Slab rock lump or chunk beef thighs?
Juliet is just a feminized version of Julius, okay? It's fact. It's just straight fact. I'm just spitting facts here.
Gristle McThornbody.
The boulder is pleased. I'm
All
just
right,
gonna
so
be called the boulder. Yeah, I'm going with Aresta for now. Working title, not set in stone. But
what house are you thinking of?
Cathak? How are we pronouncing that? Is there an official pronunciation?
I will probably look it up because one of the things that drives me batty is I will pronounce something some way. Someone will tell me that I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And
Cathak.
I pronounce it Cathak.
Cathak. Cool. I like it too. It's more of an onomatopoeia, which gives me joy. Cathak. As in Catherine? Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, Aragorn. It was right there. It was floating for you. So I pronounce it Cathak. We'll see if there's an official pronunciation for these things, but it's because the one thing I don't want to do is pronounce it incorrectly when it's like based on something that has a clear pronunciation, like she, despite that it's written as Sidhi. It's pronounced she because it's a word from a specific language. She protects, she attack, but most of all, she Cathak. Aragorn. This is not a good look.
What do you mean, Aragorn? No, just air. Too many letters. Just leave the rest off. Too much effort. Yeah. So I'm going with House Cathak. And I think it's fine because my understanding is that Scott was more of a expected to exalt, expected to be, another great hero for the family, and is kind of pushing back against at least the family tradition. Whereas my character is a bit more less anticipated, but definitely interested in going right into the family transition. Yeah, polar opposite.
Erwin, don't worry. You're always going to win over me anyway. I don't know about Kate, but you'll win over me. The Green Sword Duel.
Ting, 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 ting.
So so we kind of get an impression now of where your character is coming from.
Yeah. I'd have to have you record it and send it to me. And I also just might anglicize it for the sake of not screwing it up every single time.
So we're going to go back to your charms.
Yep.
We're not going to necessarily pick them right here, but what are you thinking of in terms of where you wish to spend your charms? Remember that your charms are based on your abilities. So there are ways to enhance, and basically you have not quite spell-like effects, kind of, I guess, spell-like effects, but ways to enhance your use of these abilities to supernatural degree.
Okay, so I want to have. Let's start with martial arts because those are sort of their own little niche.
Yep.
But they still come from those points. So I was looking at Stone Dragon Skin, which is Earth Dragon style, which requires me to have 2 dots in it. Essence 1. And it gives me, it lets me ignore wound penalties for parrying. It gives me benefits to withering. And
we're not going to get into individual charms right now. I'm more interested in where you're planning on spending your charms. I'd also recommend, incidentally, making sure that you take an excellency in martial arts.
Yeah, I think I've taken note of that. Excellency specialties, you mean?
No, excellency. Remember that charms have excellencies that are like the base charms: spend essence, gain dice.
I don't remember buying those, but it's also been like 4 years, so
it's been a while. So I will remind you of that, just because it is important for what we're doing. Excellencies. So
that's why. Thank you, Requiem.
Yeah.
I probably glazed over it in the character creation. I was like, I know what those are. Table flip.
Solars automatically get an excellency for each cast and favorite ability for which they possess at least 1 dot, and for any ability in which they've learned at least 1 charm. But Dragon Bloods do not. However, at character creation, you get 5 excellencies that you must take in your favored or aspect abilities.
Oh, so those are separate.
Yes, they're separate.
Okay, then.
And you'll also notice that some of your some of your charms, even the ones at the very beginning, will possibly have a prerequisite that may ask for you to have an excellency.
Okay.
Not all of them. Many of them don't, but it is a thing to just bear in mind.
So looking at the 2 first martial arts skills in Earth Dragon style.
So they're not skills, they're charms.
Charms. Thank you, charms. Possibly going broad here. Possibly awareness. Possibly lore. Possibly brawl. Possibly melee. Quite likely resistance. I feel like I'm going to lean heavily into resistance.
Okay.
As far as like, if if I were to have a supernal ability, which I know Dragon-Blooded don't have, but I feel like that's where my character's kind of focus is, which goes well with Earth Dragon style. It's all about like being the tank.
Right. So just from what you say, the fact that you are thinking about focusing on resistance, I think that's a good thing. It feels like the niche that you're sort of feeling is the tank, which I think is a very interesting play, right? Scott definitely is not a tank.
No.
I'll put it that way. You mentioned brawl.
Yeah.
So I'm as a storyteller, that's one thing. Just I'll tell you as a player, that's wasting your charms.
So the one specifically that I'm looking at also applies to a martial arts attack.
Okay, so that's a little different.
Yeah, so that's Become the Hammer, which is on page 176 if you want to take a quick look at it.
Yeah, so Become the Hammer. Force flows through the Dragon Blood with every strike. She may add bonus dice to a brawl or martial arts attack. Okay, so that's a little bit different than what I'm used to. So that's good that you pointed that out. Because if it specifically said, no, it's just for brawl attacks, then I would say, but you would mostly be using your martial arts. But this specifically says that it's okay for martial arts. So that's fine. But like, for instance, later on, there are other charms that you can take, such as Blade Deflecting Palm, that you can also use for martial arts. So this is perhaps a worthwhile place, but just remember that you will still need the minimum for brawl to buy these things. So
Yeah.
become the hammer, you just need
brawl
brawl 1.
essence 1, so it's fine.
Right.
But yeah.
But like blade deflecting palm, you need brawl 3.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
essence 2.
Welcome,
okay.
Wolfman.
So of those things that you mentioned in terms of charms, fantastic. I think that's great. None of those splits made me feel like, that's weird. Why are you taking bureaucracy charms? You have no bureaucracy to buy things with.
Exactly.
So when you're going over your charms, which is something that's kind of like that, I think is really going to be something you're going to be doing more off stream than on stream.
Yeah.
Just pay attention to the fact that you do have those minimums, and don't forget that if you're like, ooh, I want to buy that charm soon after character creation, but it needs, say, survival 4 and you only have survival 1, it's going to be a while before you're going to be able to buy it. So it's just a thing to think about. You did mention that you think that resistance is one of the things that you want to make niche. Does that mean that maybe you would like to up your resistance from 2?
Yeah, so I've got a note there. And one of I'm taking Ox Body. There we go. I've declared a charm, like it or not. Table flip.
I mean, Ox Body is always a good thing to take.
It's always a good idea, but especially if I'm a resistance specialist. It gives me an extra -1 and an extra -2 health level at my current stats. That might shift if I change other things.
Yeah, and you may end up choosing stamina 5, in which case your Ox Body technique then goes from 1 -1 and 1 -2 to 1 -1 and 2 -2s. Yeah. It's a huge increase, especially if you're buying Ox Body technique more than once.
But it also works retroactively, so at any point if I up my resistance
to
that point.
But remember, buying your stamina up to 5 here costs you cheap. 4 bonus points. Yeah. Buying it with experience costs you far more.
So aside from that,
so sorry, you did mention that. What did that mean, that you were looking at buying up your resistance, or were you planning on leaving it at 2?
I just want to look at whether there's anything else that I spend experience on or do for character creation before it gets time to spend all of my bonus points.
Okay, so of the other stuff that you have left in terms of character creation, we have your intimacies.
That doesn't cost XP, so we can get.
It doesn't cost XP
after.
Or anything, and then your bonus points.
Okay.
There are no other things to spend on. So
Great.
Your bonus points okay. Technically, you also have to pick 3 specialties. We haven't picked those yet.
I'm got sense of that, but that might come.
Yeah.
When it comes buying up my abilities.
Your bonus points let you buy up an attribute. Incidentally, buying a tertiary attribute, so your mentals, is cheaper than your primary and secondaries. That's different from other games that you're used to. Aspect or favorite abilities, so any abilities, merits and charms. You can't buy spells. One thing that I will point out is that you can buy an evocation. You can also use one of your charms to buy an evocation for your artifact instead of spending it on a charm.
Okay.
And the evocation is something that we'll work on when we figure out what your artifact is. Because artifacts with an evocation tree, you don't have to know the whole thing, but if you do have an evocation, you have to know what it does. So.
Yeah.
So we can either go on bonus points now, or we can start talking about intimacies, and we can go back to bonus points later.
Whichever. So let's do some character-y stuff.
All right, so let's go on to intimacies.
So how many are we supposed to have set when we start?
So for intimacies specifically, at character creation, you can have any number, but you have to have at least 4. 1 must be defining, 1 must be major, 1 must be positive, and 1 must be negative. And your defining one can be positive or negative and
negative,
count.
Yeah. Like you can technically have 3 positive and 1 negative or whatever,
and there are neutral ones, right? Like if you say if you're just like, I'm curious about this, that's neither really positive or negative. Intimacies for people who haven't done character creation for Exalted or played Exalted, intimacies are elements of a character's beliefs or emotional ties that can be used both to help them in social combat, but also against them. So if you have an intimacy such as "I will never betray my friends," then it might make it more difficult for somebody to get you to do something that would be a betrayal to them. But it would also be a point of weakness if someone said, well, you would be helping your friends if you did this. Because then you're essentially saying, by not doing what I want you to, you risk betraying them. I will also say that in this campaign, and in basically all of my Exalted campaigns from now on, you must take at least one secret intimacy. The intimacy will not be known by anybody except you and me, and it must be an intimacy that you would not want your character would not want other people to know, at least at the start of the game. It's okay if it comes out later on, and you don't necessarily have to be ashamed of it. The secret can be a dark secret. It can also just be an embarrassing secret, or it could just be something that would be kind of a hassle if it got out. But it must be secret. The other players in the audience will not know. You do not pick your secret intimacy on this stream, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I've just written it down, but that's okay because they can't see it. And I checked the hidden box, so we good. Yes, right. Only potatoes. Nice crosshair. So that's something that I'm still sort of rounding out with my character, is what their goals are, because I don't want to end up with a character that doesn't have any goals, because that's problematic. So that's still a little bit being rounded out, so I might not have all of these sorted today. But I think that one of the things about my character is that because they love these novels and these stories that are not like recent textbook history, more stuff of Legends history, I think that my character would like to do things that will go down in history.
So you want to,
like,
is it that you want to be famous?
No, it's not like currently famous. It's like people will write stories about me.
My deeds will become legend?
That sounds cool. This is why you're the writer.
It has been said. Would you consider that a minor, a major, or a defining intimacy?
At least major.
Let's put it at a major for now.
Yeah.
As a defining intimacy, this is a little bit... it can definitely work as a defining intimacy, but it's the difference between you being like, I hope that one day I get to do something that people will write stories about, and I need to do something that people will write
it's
stories
not
about.
a need.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, all our tales are cautionary. Oh.
Right. Yeah.
So I want to leave my mark on the world. Requiem is still an excellent intimacy, but I'm not sure it's the same one. I want to leave my mark on the world means that you don't necessarily care if they know you did it. It's that you have lasting effect on the world. Like, I toppled the dynasty is leaving your mark on the world, but if no one knows that it was Cathacaresta, less useful. Okay, so that's a great intimacy to start. Do you have something that you want to talk about, maybe in terms of like how you feel about your house or how you feel about your place in society?
I am worthy. Minor.
I am worthy of what? So I am worthy is a good place to start.
It's very
but I think
broad.
that we can, it's very broad.
Yeah.
Is it that you're worthy of affection, worthy of respect, of admiration, of...
I'm like, yeah. Thank you, folks. You're all asking good questions. I am worthy of. Okay. Note taken. I will think on it, but I don't know whether I can refine that.
Well, is it that, okay, so you've already spoken about how your character is coming from a position where they have...
Nothing was expected of them. I was just going to hopefully be another good soldier for the family.
Right.
Family army.
And
yeah,
now you are very clearly, you're not
exalted.
Just some rando soldier.
Yeah.
So this is interesting, and I think we might be able to work a principle out of it, or a tie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so is it
I
that,
have to figure out what.
Because the other question is it that you want to prove that you are always going to be amazing? Or is it that now that you are exalted, you will prove that you're worthy of your exaltation?
Yeah. Yeah. It's stuff for me to mull on.
Sure.
This isn't the kind of stuff that I can just...
Totally.
So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I should probably have some ties as well, though.
Sure. I mean, you need to have a negative.
Yeah.
As well.
I mean, I have a secret negative. Does that count?
Secret negative.
Secret negative.
I like the captions coming up for me because I can see the captions on my screen here, and it's sometimes funny to be like, yeah, I did say that. And so far the captions are quite good.
Good. Yeah, exactly, Crosshair. I do have a tie to my house.
Okay.
House Cathak. Because they're quite militarily focused.
Right.
And so, I don't know, like...
Pride,
like common goals and interests. Yeah, let's go with pride for now.
So you take pride in the house that you are a part of.
Yeah.
And would that be a minor, major, or defining?
I don't think it's defining. Let's say major, which I know I don't have a defining. Maybe my I am worthy to be determined is what's defining about me.
Sure. And that's totally
that's
fine.
Probably it.
Because I would prefer that you pick a defining that you feel really good about. And like you said, that kind of defining also should sort of factor a little bit into your character goals. And if you're not sure what your character goals are right now, then it's not something like you shouldn't just throw a defining in there, especially because if you put like House Cathak Pride as defining, then basically your character revolves around the goals of the house, which is totally fine. Yeah. But you're signing yourself up for something at that point.
Yes, Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. Okay, so I'm gonna leave. I'd like to leave intimacies there for now.
Sure.
Because I feel like it's the kind of thing that I just need to mull over a bit more.
Requiem makes a suggestion, which I think just before we leave this, maybe this would be a great minor intimacy. Because you mentioned stories.
Yeah.
This could be a tie.
Yeah. A tie to books? Novels? Like, what? I just don't know how to turn that into an intimacy, I guess.
So, let's say...
I
so
like
what is
reading
it?
books.
So,
like,
so reading...
Yeah.
And you love reading.
Reading fiction, it's fun. Like...
No, it's just that you have a tie to reading, and that tie is love.
Sure.
And that can be a minor.
Cool.
Doesn't have to be like a if it was major, that means that like every chance you got, practically you would be scurrying off to read something. But if it's minor, it means that like when other people are like, yeah, come on, we're all going out drinking, you might say sure sometimes, and then sometimes you're like, I was really kind of hoping that I'd finish my book tonight. Mm-hmm. And remember also, these are suggestions that are coming in, and if you don't like these suggestions later on, you can just ditch them. We can basically, but when you ditch them, make sure that you write fuck Requiem _lost and the ideas typed in chat so that, we can really know.
And the ideas typed into chat. Good, done. Sorry that you happened to be the one thrown under the bus there, Requiem. Should I ban them, sir?
God, no.
It's okay.
All right. So we're moving off of intimacies, which means that at the moment, we can discuss. So here's a few things that we can look at. We can look at your bonus points. We can also look at the artifact that you were thinking of.
Yeah. I think I should probably spend a couple of bonus points. I think I should probably have at least 3 resistance.
Okay, so I will add a dot in resistance to put you up to 3. That's 3 bonus points spent. What
did I spend the other 2 on?
On linguistics 1.
I thought we ditched the merit that was going to make me have to buy.
You still need linguistics 1 in order to be able to read. It's an ability. It's not language.
I have myself of 10 dots. I have martial arts 4, direction sense 1, language 1.
Those are merits. I'm talking about
3.
ability. The ability linguistics.
Oh. Okay. Sorry.
You needed linguistics 1 in order to be able to read.
Right.
So you bought 1 linguistics. You bought 1 extra in martial arts to put it up to 3.
Great.
And you bought 1 in resistance to put it up to 3.
Thank you.
Roger, so we already kind of did that in our first Exalted campaign that we streamed. Liz's character couldn't read, but the thing is, they're attending school. It would be very, very strange for a Dynast to not be able to read, and it would imply that she basically they were not brought up in on the Blessed Isle, that they were a lost egg, which is not the character concept that Kate's put forward right now.
Yeah. Okay, sorry about that fight with you on linguistics, just because I didn't understand linguistics versus languages. Derp.
Yeah.
Okay, linguistics, martial arts, resistance. So linguistics, martial arts 3, resistance 3.
Yep. Which means that you have 7 bonus points left to spend.
Yeah, was it stamina that you were suggesting? Maybe I want to take a 5 in?
So that is an option that you can look at. That would cost you 4 bonus points out of the 7 that you have left. It would really kind of solidify that you have that niche of the tank.
I mean, I could min-max and... No, I can't, because I have to I can only have up to 8 in this. Right.
Why? What are you thinking?
I was just thinking of moving dots around, but no. I mean, at best, I could have had a 2 in dex and a 5 in stamina, and then buy up the 3rd point of dex.
Yeah, but at the moment, that would be the same thing.
Okay, same cost?
Same cost. The cost to increase your stamina...
I don't have that page open. Yeah.
Yeah, the cost to increase an attribute is a flat 4.
Oh, a flat.
For physical and social.
Okay.
Yeah, for when you spend experience, then it's exponential.
Then it's different. Yeah.
Cool. But for bonus points, it's just a flat 4 to increase, unless it's one of your tertiary attributes, in which case it's only 3.
Okay, so 4 for stam, 4 maybe. And then possibly, how much is it for a tertiary?
3. So you could spend your 7 remaining to put your stamina up to 5, and your perception, I think, is what you mentioned?
Yeah.
Because it could be your perception, it could be your intelligence or wits as well. It can be either one of those.
Okay. Maybe. I wish I had a bigger notebook.
Don't we all sometimes?
Yeah, I just have the back of a slip from a delivery order. Okay, artifacts. Are there artifacts in the Dragon-Blooded book, or are they all in the core?
Here, I'm just going to write down you were thinking of stamina 5 and a mental...
Stamina 4.
Plus. You already have stamina 4.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
So in terms of, so you're talking about artifacts?
Yeah.
So there are examples of artifacts in the book, but
you kind of build it yourself.
Yeah, you kind of build artifacts yourself. Like there is no Tetsubo example.
But they don't have. They have some example ones, don't they? Though, like rather than this is how you build it.
The way that it happens, the way that you build artifacts in this game, is that you, if it's a weapon or if it's a piece of armor, then depending on whether it's like a heavy, a medium, or a light weapon or piece of armor, it has these stats. And then if you make it an artifact version of those, it has the artifact version of those stats. Then, depending on the power level of the artifact, is what kind of evocations it might have access to. So if you were to pick...
Sorry, folks, I'm just not on my own computer, so I'm dealing with a bit of lag on... accessing my PDFs remotely.
Yep. No trouble. So if, for instance, you wanted to buy artifact armor, like, okay, so as an example,
that just reminds me of my Princess Peach cosplay where I specifically had a small frying pan. But
so if you were, my recommendation would be, if you were looking to fill your niche as a tank, it might be more worth it for you to have artifact armor than an artifact weapon.
Yeah, but am I ever going to be wearing it if I'm at school?
Yes.
Okay. It's not the kind of thing where it just sits in the locker, never to be used.
So if you were like going to math class, although math class isn't really, but like just bear with me if you're going to math class, you probably wouldn't be carrying your weapon either. But if the thing is, at the House of Bells, if you were drilling in combat, going out on maneuvers or anything like that, you would be expected to be wearing the armor and weapons that you would normally be carrying. Okay. So yes, you would have access to your armor. Also imagine
that, it's not the same as Changeling, where we're all trying to pass as normal mortals and not wearing, kick-ass armor all the time.
That's right. So the concept of you wearing armor on a, like, just out and about would be fine. Now, it might be a bit strange if somebody invited you to, like, a really fancy dinner and they were like, hey, come over to my really fancy dinner, and you showed up in full armor. They might be like, what are you doing? Why are you, like, are you expecting that we're going to be attacked? Should I go get my armor on? But it is the sort of thing that if you were just going out, sure, you might wear armor. Like Scott's character has a breastplate, and it's not an artifact. It's just a normal breastplate. But like a breastplate is also the kind of thing that you might just put on and wear, because fuck it.
Where's the equipment in Dragon-Blooded?
Dragon-Blooded does not have standard equipment. It's in the core.
Okay, so there's no like equipment or artifact, because people were saying that it's everywhere. So I thought there'd be like a section for it. So chapter 9. I mean, there's Arms of the Chosen, which we also have somewhere.
Yes, but those specifically contain examples of artifact things with evocations in them. The rules for what the stats are for these things are all in the core.
Okay.
And they're in chapter 9.
Oh, then I switched to the wrong book, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Because I figured, if they were going to have artifact examples, I would go to the Dragon-Blooded one if they existed.
I mean, there's a White Jade Thunderbolt shield in Dragon-Blooded.
Where? I don't know. I think I just need to sit down with the book for this. I feel like it's going to be in too many different pages, and I feel like I'm getting overwhelmed trying to create something that I've never read about. I never thought I would have an artifact, because I figured that would be too powerful for a student.
No problem. So we can deal with that at another time. Not an issue. So let's take a step back. Let's take an overall look at your character right now and just make sure that it's still along the same lines as what you were hoping for. All right. So we're going to go back to your original description. Stable, not stubborn, though physically imposing. Once you get to know them, it's clear they're a teddy bear whose mind is caught up in fantastical stories. Mm-hmm. This is borne out by your attributes. You are definitely a physical specimen. You have you're quite charming. You're definitely attractive, and you are still relatively sharp in terms of your mind and in terms of manipulation. You're not deficient in any of those areas. If we look at your abilities, you have, just as you had mentioned before, you are definitely a jack of most trades. You're not very good at bureaucracy, craft, investigation, larceny, or performance, but that's okay. You don't need to, and you can still buy those up if you want. You, however, do have some specific areas where you excel. Your martial arts rating is 3. Your resistance is 3. So those are the 2 places that you are the strongest in terms of your trained abilities, as opposed to like your natural talent. Mm-hmm. If we look at your merits, you are a martial artist. And a martial artist means that you have trained, and probably you started training before you ever found out that you were exalted in the first place. Okay. Because that takes some time to go through that training. But once you became exalted, then you were like, okay, well, now I can devote myself to a style, and I can have the charms associated with that style, and I can apply those, right? So that still is is something to just keep in mind for your backstory, but I think that fits quite well, especially if you were training to become a soldier. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're still somebody who is the child of a dynast, so you would have been a special soldier, so it makes sense that you would have had specialized training. Yeah. Direction sense means that people can depend on you to find your way back in a drunken stupor after a night of carousing at the bars. You speak another language, which means that you are a bit more worldly than some. For instance, I don't think Scott's character has an extra language, so it's something to consider. At the moment, you have a 3-dot artifact. Whether or not you want to keep that, entirely up to you. But it is perhaps it would be among your most prized possessions. And absolutely your most valuable one. Yeah. And then finally, you have access to resources 1, which means that you have a healthy stipend that you can use in order to keep yourself in things like, you can go out to eat with people without having to worry about things. Remember that resources 0 doesn't mean that you have no money. It just means that you have enough to get by, and that's it. Yeah. So you are definitely not going to be as rich as some of the people who you'll encounter on campus, but you're not destitute. If I look at your combat pools, right now you have 5 across the board. Join battle, rush, disengage, withdraw, rise from prone, take cover. You're a solid combat specimen. In terms of your social pools, you're decent at reading intentions. You're resolving your guile at 2. So at the moment, you're average in your ability to resist other people trying to influence you. In terms of armor and defense, you've got quite a decent soak because of your stamina. And your evasion's not bad either, so you are able to dodge. If you start buying resistance charms and also your martial arts charms, then your soak will most likely increase. Your ability to just stand there and take damage without it causing you too much difficulty is definitely going to be in there, especially if you buy Ox Body Technique. That'll just rocket your health levels through the roof. And then finally, the intimacies that we've defined already, my deeds will become legend, makes a lot of sense. And you have pride in your house, so you don't resent your house, even if at the beginning of your life you weren't as important as you are now. Yeah. So far, this seems like a pretty great character.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So, of this, anything that I say, was anything like struck a sour note?
No. I don't think so. The thing, Crosshair with dodge is that at the moment, I need to look into the whole dodge parry situation if I don't necessarily have a weapon. Because obviously trying to parry something with a bare arm is like slicey McDicey. So I have to look into that, because I think some of the charms I was looking at were parry based. But otherwise, then it would be nice to be able to dodge some hits before I just try to soak all the damage. Because otherwise, I was thinking parry based.
So you do have martial arts,
yeah,
as a merit, and the reason why I bring that up, just because it's important, is that according to the martial arts merit, let me just call it up here. It's the martial arts ability, so I actually have to go to the martial arts ability here. Come on. So you will be able to parry if you are carrying a Tetsubo.
Yeah.
But not, you can stunt to parry with your other limbs and stuff. So it kind of depends on whether you want to bother stunting all the time or not. But there are also ways to just invest in, like, yeah, you can hit me for all the good it'll do you.
Yeah.
So, and remember that there are rare attacks, and I'm going to focus on rare because this is not something that people should be like hyper focused on. Like, I've seen people get really focused on this in the past. There are attacks that are unblockable. So those are attacks that are like overwhelming. Like a massive fireball, you can't block a massive fireball. It's just going to get you. And then there are attacks that are undodgeable, which are just so wide ranging that there's no way that you can avoid it, but you might be able to block it. So just things to think about. Damn it, Daniel.
Sorry, I was just trying to find the notes section in Casting Atemi, but it's not actually in your character section. No. It's within the chronicle. So I was just trying to find that because this is a mess.
Yeah, it does have a weird place to put its notes section. It also has a bio/miscellaneous section.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that I had used the note at some point, so I was just trying to find it again, and it's in a completely different place.
Yeah. But we are also nearing the end of the stream, so we've got Cathaka Resta here. Whether that name sticks is up to you, right? Again, if you're watching this, anything on this sheet can be changed. For all I know, by the time we hit session 0, Kate might show up with a water aspect House Cesis. It can absolutely happen. There's nothing on here that is required, and even then, character sheets can change in my games until the 4th session.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's a lot of things to still go over. In this game, there's a lot of charms to read. There's a reason that these books are so big. It's because a lot of this book is the magic system. It's charms. So there's a lot to go through. But the core of this character, that this character is a jack of all trades, but who has a niche of being tanky, is established in its mechanics. And also we're getting an idea of where this character is coming from, having a family without dragon-blooded parents, but still carries exaltation in their veins. Well, I haven't gotten confirmation that Aresta is a total goth yet, and I was way off on House. Can't win them all, Erwin. Although, again, we also don't know. Maybe she is a total goth. Who knows? Coming up tomorrow, Punchy, that's over on twitch.tv/Elizabeth A. Neal's channel. They will be playing Spider-Man Miles Morales once again. Saturday, there's going to be some Drew Crew happening. I think that's at 3. Does that happen?
Yep, usually at 3.
So that's at 3. There is a small chance that I may stream in the morning on Saturday to make up for the fact that I did not stream on Wednesday yesterday, but we'll see. But Sunday,
Saturday afternoon after Drew Crew, there will be some cooperative film watching for Scott's birthday over in the Discord.
Right.
they're gonna watch Clue.
That's right.
Yes.
So the Drew Clue crew will be Saturday. And then this Sunday, we did announce originally that it was going to be Lady Blackbird, which was the one shot that Liz was going to run. We have just changed the order. So this Sunday is going to be Roll for Shoes, a micro rule RPG that I'm going to run. That will be this Sunday at 6 p.m. It's going to be a one shot. It'll be a lot of fun. Our two previous one shots, To the Temple of Doom to Defeat the Ancient Evil, which Kate facilitated, was tons of fun, and so was Fiasco that Scott did. So I'm going to look forward to doing this next one shot, but then Lady Blackbird will be next Sunday, not this coming Sunday. Then we're going to take a break for Christmas, and then January, Session 0, and then we move on to ExalTwitch Academy. Thanks so much for being here, Kate. Like it's fun to create characters.
Thanks for helping me.
And it looks like we've got a cool one coming up. And I especially like the fact that your character is different from Scott's, which helps.
Yay, we're not all the same.
Join us next week also on Clinic Hours. We'll have Liz here, and we'll be developing our third character. So
Yay.
we have that there as well. And Raccoon randomly pulls the satanic quote.
Yeah. Wow. Honestly, your face is very pretty. You wouldn't want it to melt. Damn.
Special thanks to our mods, She Who Knows 10,000 Things, Entropy's Disciple, and who will get his name eventually, Real Brick Wall, for all of that. It will be fun to see how this turns out. Otherwise, if you want to discuss this or any of other campaigns or any of our other streams, just join the Discord. It's right there for you. The Discord is available for you, and it is. We're already starting to talk about the characters that are being created and the characters who are yet to come. Hey, look, I'm happy, and that's all I cared about. I also cared about Kate's happiness, I suppose, to a certain degree, but.
Nah.
But thanks for tuning in. I really look forward to this
Thanks,
game.
folks.
It's going to be so much fun. We'll see you next time.